I spent 3 months chasing after Sean Caldwell. He hugged and kissed me, and bought me armfuls of gifts. But every time I confessed, he refused me with, "Just wait a little longer." In a fit of anger, I slapped him across the face. "I genuinely wanted to be with you, are you just messing with me?" But after that slap, the way he looked at me changed. 1. Just finished our date, I was sitting in Sean Caldwell's car. Fueled by a bit of alcohol, I leaned in, stopping half an inch from his face. "Want to be together?" Sean looked at me gently, even reaching out to pinch my cheek. I was pleasantly surprised, thinking I could finally get him to agree. But the answer I got was still, "Let's give it some more time." The exact same excuse he'd used to reject me 4 times. My heart turned cold. I stared at him for a long time, until Sean met my eyes and raised an eyebrow. "Yeah?" I fell for this face at first sight. I'd been chasing him for 3 months, confessed 4 times, and been rejected each time with the same reason. Before confessing tonight, I'd already decided it was the last time. If it didn't work, forget it. I was done. He could string me along, but not after I'd made my feelings clear so many times. Sean was making me feel like he was just playing with me. "Then let's just end it here. Don't come looking for me anymore." I opened the car door to get out, but he grabbed my wrist and pulled me back. "Where are you going? Are you angry?" I couldn't help but slap him. "Sean Caldwell, do you think it's funny to keep me hanging like this? Or maybe you have a family, haven't gotten divorced, and you're out looking for excitement?" 2. Sean's face was turned away by my slap, his expression full of disbelief. He was obviously stunned, but after a few seconds, he looked back at me, his eyes becoming very dangerous. I was unnerved by his stare. "What? I don't have a family." I wanted a response, not some useless explanation. "I don't care if you do or don't." I was done playing his games. I opened the car door and got out, neatly deleting Mr. Caldwell's contact information. Back at home, I packed up all the expensive gifts he'd given me, planning to call a delivery service in the morning to send them back. After doing all that, the alcohol hit me and I fell back onto the bed with a headache. But I couldn't fall asleep, my eyes red until late into the night. Actually, I can't really handle alcohol. Tonight, I just wanted to use it as an excuse to get something going with Sean. I took the square package digging into my pocket and tossed it onto the bedside table. Okay, I admit it. I was unsuccessful and now I'm just angry and embarrassed. It's true that I like him, but why is this guy stringing me along like this? If he'd just said he didn't have feelings for me, I wouldn't have bothered him for so long. 3. I met Sean Caldwell at a bar. I was short on cash at the time, so I just found a part-time job with a decent salary. I was an NPC, dressed as a male fox spirit, and while interacting with customers, I spotted Sean Caldwell in the crowd. His features were cold and hard, his looks strikingly handsome. I poured him a drink and deliberately got very close to him, but he didn't show much interest in me. He just politely took the drink I offered and said thank you. That was my first meeting with him. I fell in love at first sight, but he was indifferent. He didn't come often, so I only ran into him twice. It was the second time that I actually interacted with him. That time, I'd toughed it out and drank with a customer all night for a $3,000 tip. I left through the back alley, without having time to take off my makeup. Unsurprisingly, I was mistaken for a girl and surrounded by some thugs. There was no damsel in distress scenario. I took care of the troublemakers myself. 1 against 5. My forehead and arms were a little injured. I originally wanted to go back to the bar's dressing room to find some medicine, but I accidentally ran into Sean Caldwell. He walked towards me and asked softly, "Do you need any help?" What a golden opportunity, how could I miss it? Immediately, my legs went limp, and I pretended to fall into his arms. 4. My palm pressed against his chest muscles, and my whole body stiffened. Felt so good. Then I heard laughter above my head. The person's passed out, but their lust is still awake, huh? I played dead and didn't say anything. He resigned himself to helping me up, got a first aid kit, and carefully treated my wounds. When he was disinfecting, I wanted to scream in pain, but when I saw the serious, zoomed-in, super handsome face in front of me, I suppressed the urge to grimace. As a result, I lost control of my hand. Sean's hand twitched from my pinching. He gasped, but still smiled at me. "Why are you biting the hand that feeds you?" The curve of that smile was just perfect, instantly hitting my eyes and messing up my heartbeat. I changed the subject. "Why are you backstage?" "The owner is a friend of mine. I came to see him." "Oh." He probably couldn't stand my direct gaze, so he took the initiative to ask, "What do you want to say?" "Me, can I buy you a drink sometime?" He didn't say yes or no. So I leaned in, forced him to meet my eyes, blinked, and asked again, "Can I?" Sean answered something completely unrelated. "Do you always use that face that makes people want to commit crimes to make requests?" "Makes people want to commit crimes?" I'm happy to hear him say that. It meant he was interested in me. So I pressed on, can I? Sean asked my name, then repeated, Tanner Shaw? You smell really good. I'll take you home. I'll treat you next week. 5. I don't use perfume. Besides the fragrance of makeup, there's only the lemon scent of my body wash. Because of that sentence, I didn't change my body wash brand before seeing him. Sean kept his promise and bought me a drink the following week. It was a special liqueur, not too strong. I really don't know how to chase people. I only knew that in just one short week, I was already addicted to him. Like an addiction, I craved physical contact with him. To put it bluntly, I wanted to kiss him. Using the game as an excuse, I tentatively moved closer. Sean didn't dodge, so I boldly pressed against his lips, giving him a quick peck and pulling away. The moment I touched his softness, I was sweating with nervousness. Sean didn't move. He sat there, looking me up and down, then got up without warning, took a swig of alcohol, and kissed me. Tongue swirled between our lips and teeth, the spilled alcohol dripping down my collar to my chin, sliding into my shirt. The coolness sobered me up a bit. He laughed at me. You call that a kiss? His actions made my heart itch even more. It was from then on that we often went out to eat together, and played games when I wasn't working part-time. Sean was busy with work, but he was willing to make time for me, which made me mistakenly believe that he liked me. So, on a whim, I confessed. 6. Reviewing the past 3 months, I couldn't sleep even more. I threw myself into the blanket in frustration, getting angrier the more I thought about it. The next day, I woke up with raccoon eyes and, for once, woke up early on the weekend, cleaned up the house, and waited for the box of gifts to be picked up before taking a shower and going back to sleep. My feelings come and go quickly. If Sean hadn't given me a response at first, I probably would have given up in a week. But he responded to me, but didn't satisfy me. He kept me hanging on, and when I wanted to break up with him, my heart felt suffocated. When I woke up, I saw several missed calls from Sean Caldwell on my phone. Just as I was hesitating whether to call back, the phone rang again. I hung up and hardened my heart, blacklisting his number. He was quiet for a day, and then he called from a different number that night. I accidentally picked up. Sean got straight to the point. Want to cut all ties with me? The gifts were for you. I won't take them back. Me, throw them wherever you want. Tanner Shaw. In the past 3 months, he had never called me by my full name. I wasn't afraid of him. What? Sean, do you want to argue with me? It's not arguing, I said. Sean Caldwell, I don't know what you think of me, but if you don't like me, forget it. I'm not chasing you anymore. There was a long silence on the other end before he said 3 words. Come downstairs. I pulled back the curtains and, sure enough, saw that familiar black car parked in front of my house. Sean's appearance made me hesitate, but when I thought about how many times he had rejected me, I felt like backing away. Since I had already decided to break up, I shouldn't see him. Go back. 7. I turned off the lights in the room and stood by the window for a long time. Sean's call was disconnected. He didn't call again, nor did he leave immediately. I waited until midnight before he drove away from downstairs. Monday had an early class at 8. After coming downstairs, I made a point of walking to the place where Sean had stayed last night, and saw many extinguished cigarette butts in the nearby trash can. Sean rarely smokes. Was it because I was no longer chasing him that he wasn't used to it? In the evening, I made an appointment to have dinner with my college roommate, who is now my senior. Liam asked gossipingly when we met, how's your boyfriend outside of school? I said, he's not my boyfriend. It's over. Liam immediately put down his chopsticks. What, he cheated on you too? He didn't wait for my answer before saying disapprovingly, Tanner, why don't you ever learn? You're also a man, why don't you understand? You're too sincere with people. You don't hide anything. You might as well write gullible on your face. Men don't cherish what they get easily. You make it too easy for them, so they play around like that. I also stopped eating. Is it bad to be sincere? Liam, 2 people being sincere is a killer move. 1 person being sincere is just being stupid. I shook my head, disagreeing. Liam got more and more excited. Have you forgotten your John and ex-boyfriend from freshman year? Because of him, your sexual orientation was exposed, and you had no choice but to take a break from school to join the army. It wasn't because of him, I explained. My taking a break from school to join the army had nothing to do with him. I just wanted a change of scenery. But that's what outsiders think, Tanner. I looked at Liam. I don't care. You're just a stubborn mule. You've put all your IQ into your face. One day you'll be swindled out of your money and your body before you wake up. I spread my hands helplessly. I don't have any money. 8. Because I often worked part-time until late at night, I moved out early to avoid disturbing my roommates. I didn't have to go to the bar today. After parting ways with Liam, I planned to walk back to my apartment, get some fresh air, and clear my head. I thought about what Liam said all the way. Do I really look that easy to fool? But is it wrong to like having the initiative in my hands? Weighing pros and cons, gains and losses, I don't want to care about any of that. I just want passion, I want sincerity. Is that stupid in the eyes of outsiders? The night wind was a little cool. I tightened my windbreaker collar. The tall figure in front of me blocked my way. Sean Caldwell looked down at me. I've been blocking you for a day. Mr. Caldwell, is there something you need? I'd already slapped him. What room was there for any change? No, I'll take you home. Me. No one wants to rob a 1-meter-8 tall man of his wealth and beauty. Mr. Caldwell is very busy, so you don't have to waste your time on me. Sean took a step closer to me, grabbed me, and put me in the car. There were people everywhere outside of school. I didn't dare make a big scene. Fasten your seatbelt. I didn't move. So he leaned over himself and kissed me on the side of my face. Why are you being so sarcastic? I wiped the spot on my cheek where he had touched me, expressionless. I should be asking Mr. Caldwell that. What exactly do you want? Calling me Mr. Caldwell makes me feel cold. Before I could say anything, Sean started the car. At the same time, his nice voice rang out. Didn't you say you weren't chasing me anymore? Then let me chase you. I couldn't help but say, you're crazy. 9. He came into my house and I couldn't get him to leave. I was furious. Sean Caldwell, what the hell is wrong with you? Without a word, he pinned me against the door as soon as he came in, holding my hands and kissing me hard. I waited downstairs for you for 4 hours last night, Tanner. You're so cruel. Get off, My face was gloomy. After pushing him away, I slapped him. If you want to play, can you find someone else? Sean Caldwell, I don't owe you anything, don't bother me anymore. A handprint quickly appeared on the side of his face. He was still smiling as he said to me. Didn't you say you liked me? You confessed and then ran away? How can someone be so shameless? Sean Caldwell, are you even listening to yourself? He pounced on me again. I was held back by him. Sean was very close, and a strange feeling rose up. This hadn't happened before. It felt like something was pressing against me, and the presence was getting stronger and stronger. You. I was a little flustered. Sean's voice became hoarse. Do you feel it? I carefully recalled every time we kissed and hugged in the past. He seemed to be very proper and had never done this before. Today, was it because of the slap I gave him? In an instant, my brain seemed to short-circuit. My body stiffened and I suddenly realized. I seemed to have found the reason why he had repeatedly rejected me. 10. Calm down first. How can I calm down? Sean Caldwell was holding me and kissing me, showing no signs of letting go. You're trespassing. Sean, then sue me. Me, you're shameless. The thing pressed against my lower back seemed to be getting even more excited. Seriously, dude. I think I need to calm down too. Sean still wouldn't let go. 5 minutes later, I had a fight with him. Neither of us was injured, but Sean was unusually excited, his eyes shining like a wolf that hadn't eaten in centuries finally getting a piece of tender meat. I was unnerved by his stare. I went to the room and grabbed a set of pajamas, throwing them at him. Go take a shower and cool off before we talk. Sean stood at the door, raised his chin at a box of condoms on the bedside table, and then his eyes darkened. We only argued for a day, and you already brought someone home? Me. Seriously. Wasn't that supposed to be for you the other night? 11. Of course, I wasn't going to tell him the truth. It's none of your business. Sean smiled at me, clothes hanging on his arm. I'll tell you later. I heard the continuous sound of water in the bathroom, and my thoughts drifted away. After a long time, I guiltily shook my head and scolded myself. The guy's playing you like a dog, and you're still thinking about it? He came out after a long time, still smelling of my body wash. Sorry to keep you waiting, Tanner. Can we sit down and talk? When I saw him at that moment, I had mixed feelings, but thinking that this relationship deserved some closure, I leaned against the armrest of the sofa and agreed, go ahead. I wanted to hear how he would explain himself. Do you think I'm being particularly unfair, rejecting you several times, not giving you a title, and then still having the nerve to come here and ask for forgiveness? I was silent. Sean sighed. The reason I delayed getting together wasn't an excuse. Like you realized earlier, we know very little about each other. We're nowhere near the point where we can be together for a long time. Instead of dating for a while and then breaking up, it's better not to start at all. I scoffed at his explanation. What classic Danan talk. If he was so clear-headed, why was he still kissing me? He was obviously enjoying the ambiguity but didn't want to take responsibility for the outcome. Sean seemed to see through my thoughts. He pinched my cheek and said, hugging you, kissing you, and giving you gifts was to cultivate feelings and stake a claim. I looked up. Sean Caldwell, do you know what you're like right now? He smiled. What? A hypocritical phony. 12. Is that so? Sean wasn't angry. He changed the subject. Tanner, can I get a glass of water? No. Okay, then I'll order delivery. Aren't you leaving? Sean laughed. We haven't cleared everything up yet. I got up. Besides these, is there anything else? Sean, do I have any credibility with you? I was silent, not answering. Sean lowered his head. After tapping the screen a few times, 300,000 appeared in my account. I said the gifts I gave can't be taken back. Since you returned them, I'll convert them into equivalent value for you. There's no need for this. Seeing the money, I couldn't understand Sean even more. What was his brain made of? Don't order takeout. I'll get you some water. Hearing this, he put down his phone. Thank you. Sean took the water, grabbed my wrist, and wouldn't let me leave. If my words can't give you a sense of security, can money? What I said is what I think. I wanted to break free, but I didn't succeed. Tanner, I have feelings for you. You could say I like you, but I don't know you very well. You seem so honest, but I haven't even figured out what you like to eat. Every time we date, you always try to take care of my feelings, but you'll say you like everything I give you. The feedback I get from you is mostly anything is fine or okay. Sean looked at me. Tanner, you're holding back a lot from me. I'm not. I thought about it and said, it's not intentional. It's really that anything is fine. Sean took my hand. How can a person not have any preferences? Me, I really don't. If I had to pick something, I just like money. If you don't have any, then cultivate one. If you really don't care about anything, then if we get together and argue, how am I going to coax you? 13. You're getting off topic. I wanted to walk away. He attacked and pulled me down. With his other hand, he put down the water glass with a smack, the bottom of the glass hitting the glass coffee table, splashing water. At the same time, Sean's tongue came in. What are you? Sean backed away. Just a kiss, consider it an agreement. I touched my numb lips. What did I agree to? To cultivate feelings with me. Get out. Tisk. Sean kissed me again. Then why did you stick your tongue out? Sean Caldwell. Yeah? I should have bitten him just now. You bastard. It's okay if you don't want to continue with me now. It's my turn to take the initiative, Tanner. The emotional roller coaster made my head spin, as if I had lost the ability to think. Go back first. Are you in such a hurry to get rid of me? Do you want to stay overnight? Sean didn't say anything, but his eyes said it all. Why not? He was still wearing my clothes, which were a little small, making them look like tight clothes, accentuating his chest muscles. With such beauty in front of me, I forced myself to look away. You can stay, but you sleep on the sofa. Okay. His nod made me even more agitated. I got up, grabbed a blanket, and fled. I'm going to rest. You should sleep early too. Wait. Sean stopped me. He smiled. Tanner, how about giving me a secret in return? 14. What do you want to ask? He looked up at me. Can you add my contact information back? I did as he said. Then he gestured towards the bedroom. There's one more thing. What about that box in there? Me. It's for you. Sean didn't show any surprise when he heard this answer. Sure enough, he had already guessed it, and just wanted to hear me admit it. Do you want to sleep with me? Not now. Sean, so you really wanted to before? Are you annoying? I broke down. But he laughed. Tanner, you're much more vibrant like this than before. I was stunned for a moment and realized that Sean was right. During the time I wanted to be with him, I was used to putting his feelings first. For example, last week, Sean called after a work dinner and asked if we could meet. When he said he wanted to see me, I went out with a feverish head. At that time, I thought I was becoming stupid. It's just a person, why do I care about him so much? When Sean kissed me, he noticed that I wasn't feeling well, felt my forehead, and went to buy medicine without saying anything. Then he stayed with me all night. He even allowed me to sleep holding his hand. After this night, I thought he was implicitly agreeing to be my partner. I wanted to have a ceremony to officially get together, but he rejected me again. 15. I went back to my room, looked at the balance in my account, and sighed. I can't take this money, I'm transferring it back to you. 2 minutes later. Your account has received 500,000.00. How much? Why is there another 200,000? I continued to send him a message. What are you doing? Sean, every time you transfer it back, I'll add 200,000 until you're moved. Me, you have so much money you don't know what to do with it. Sean, not really, but I finally met someone I like, I want to try. If you're really worried, we can go through a gift procedure. Me, that's not what I mean. Then just take it. Consider it my sincerity in pursuing you. I hesitated. A week ago, I dreamed of being with him, but at this moment, when I received his response, I had second thoughts. What are you thinking? Seeing the message pop up in the chat box, I realized I had been staring at the screen for a long time. His status on the interface was still stuck on, the other party is typing. Has he been watching me the whole time? Sean, yeah? Me, come in, the door's unlocked. Sean sent me an emoji of a dog blushing. It was awkward, but surprisingly a little cute. No, getting used to sleeping on the sofa in advance. I rolled my eyes, put away my phone and prepared to sleep, but after a while, I remembered that I had forgotten something. When I turned the screen back on, a new message popped up. Sean, good night. Okay, good night. 16. Sean has two faces. After his piha was exposed, he didn't bother to hide it at all, often using the excuse that it was too late to drive home after a date to stay over. Of course, he slept on his sofa and I slept on my queen-size bed. But every morning, he would barge in and kiss me awake, using the excuse of waking me up. Sometimes I would stay up late, and he would come in just as I had fallen asleep, so I would get angry when I was kissed awake. Sean didn't restrain himself even after I hit him, instead, he would get even more excited. After a few times, my innocence was almost lost. I was willing, but he wanted to remain chaste. Tanner, I'm going on a business trip and will be back in a week. I rolled myself up in the blanket and moved further away from him. Why are you telling me this? Sean, I'll bring you flowers when I get back, okay? In his words, he wanted to end the 2-month trial period and get together. We'll see. Sean is a qualified pursuer. He's doing no worse than I did, and he's even more meticulous than me. He can even sense my emotional changes when I add a period to my chat messages. I didn't want to accept his gifts anymore, so Sean changed his tactics, running over to open food-blind boxes for me whenever he had time. Putting everything else aside, Mr. Caldwell's cooking skills must have been specially learned. So in a few days, my stomach also surrendered. And what he said before about cultivating my preferences wasn't a joke either. Sean said, I don't know what you've been through before, but from the strong desire to live in the moment that I feel from you, it must have been unsatisfactory. Premature independence and a lack of love haven't turned you into a cold person. On the contrary, you're sincere to others and have a great personality. But that's just the surface. The real you feels, it's good to be alive, it's okay to die. You're not interested in anything and don't have any hobbies, so can I interpret your liking me as just a temporary thing? I wanted to deny it, but Sean interrupted me that day. He asked me one last question, are you willing to go with me to rediscover a passion for life, and then we'll be together, for a long, long time? No one has ever coaxed me like this in my life. I was so stunned that I could only nod. So Sean took me to experience skydiving, and he personally accompanied me. Our names were signed together on the waiver. I glanced at it, but my mind was full of images of the two names getting closer. We fell rapidly in the high altitude, our heartbeats about to drown out the sound of the wind whistling in our ears. The moment the parachute opened, he smiled at me. I hope Tanner will always be sincere and happy. The howling wind stopped, his voice echoed in my ears, and then it was imprinted in my bones. 17. Although I was stubborn, I had already tacitly agreed in my heart that I would give Sean a proper title when he came back. However, a message from Liam shattered my confidence. It was a screenshot. The picture was a Ponyo Chen post from my ex. After the incident, I blocked and deleted all his contact information, but Liam kept it and often stalked him. That picture almost made me stop breathing, because Sean appeared in my sight. Although it was just a side profile. But the caption of the post was, new boyfriend, handsome, right? Liam was still bombarding me, OMG, why him? How can someone like him find such a handsome partner? This world is crazy. My brain was rusty, and only one sentence echoed repeatedly like a stuck gear. My ex, Keith Ford, is Sean Caldwell's boyfriend. Memories of past betrayals by close people flooded in, like waves crashing, and I couldn't escape. A sharp pain came from my heart, and my heartbeat accelerated as if it would jump out of my chest. Could it be? No, it can't be. Sean wouldn't lie to me, would he? But why would he be with Keith if he said he was going on a business trip? Was he playing me? Have he and Keith always had this kind of relationship, intentionally approaching me just to avenge the beating I gave Keith 2 years ago? I tried hard to shake off this idea, but without getting an answer, I remained distracted. I started to comfort myself. Keith Ford has been out of contact with me for 2 years. There's no way he could know my current situation, so the possibility of him deliberately seeking revenge is very slim. I wanted to ask Sean about the reason, so I called him, but the line was busy. In the half hour that he didn't return my call, I made all sorts of plans. Tanner, what's wrong? I was having dinner with someone. Sean finally replied. With who? Sean, a client, baby. Do you have a boyfriend? He took 2 seconds to reply. Yeah. An endless chill suddenly burst out in my chest. Before I could ask the next question, he said, but not completely, planning to go back and get official with him. I sent him the screenshot. Sean Caldwell, I don't do side pieces, especially not this person's. 18. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Seconds later, I heard Sean curse for the first time. Is he crazy? I don't know him, Tanner. He's an assistant the client brought along, accompanying them for dinner. Seeing that I wasn't saying anything, he explained again. He brushed against me while pouring wine, but I avoided him. There was no further contact. Sean was clearly a little flustered. Tanner, wait a minute, I'll handle this. I'll be home tonight. I hung up the phone. My heart hadn't settled down yet. Sean rushed back overnight. He knocked on my door. Tanner, are you asleep? I opened the door and saw a tired, disheveled man. Sean's hair was a little messy. Why so fast? Sean said, I was afraid you wouldn't believe me. I didn't deny it. I had those thoughts. Come in. I stepped aside, choosing to be honest. It's quite a coincidence, Keith Ford is my ex. He used to. I told him about the past. He used to be an online streamer and drugged me, wanting to film those kinds of videos to sell. He didn't succeed. Sean gestured for me to continue. Later, he was afraid of my revenge, so he struck first, photoshopping my drugged photos into the covers of some videos and posting screenshots on the school wall. During that time, many people at school looked at me with strange eyes. Some people even found my contact information and sent me a message. How much? After that, I beat up Keith Ford and explained the cause and effect, making a clarification. But the seeds of prejudice had already been planted, and even with the clarification, it wasn't of much use. I wasn't in a good state during that time, so I simply changed environments. As for what happened to Keith later, I didn't want to and wasn't interested in knowing. Now that it was brought up again, I felt like I was pretty miserable back then. I almost got sold as a gigolo. 19. Sean comforted me. He spread rumors and caused trouble, I'll get to the bottom of it. Yeah. I nodded. You must be tired from rushing back, go take a shower and rest. A weight on my waist. Sean hugged me. Baby, I didn't have time to buy flowers, can I date you first? I'll make it up to you tomorrow. I can't wait, I want a title. I turned around, grabbed Sean's neck, pushed him onto the bed, and slowly tightened my grip. How are you going to compensate me for making me worry so much? His eyes lit up, excited to death. Sean wrapped his arms around me. I'll compensate you. Small, dense kisses fell, clearly the first time, but it felt like a long-awaited reunion, impatient. Torn wrappers were scattered all over the floor. Sean kissed me again. When I woke up on his chest at dawn, the mess from last night had been cleaned up. Sean stroked my head. Woke up so early? Aren't you hungry? I asked him. I was starving to death anyway. Let's order in, baby. I'll go make it. No need, stay with me for a while longer. I lay on his chest, reaching for my phone with one hand, picking and choosing and ordering takeout. He played with my hair. Are you being clingy? I nodded, planning to sleep a little longer. Yeah, help me get the takeout later. Okay, sure. 20. Keith Ford approached Sean 3 days later, crying and begging him to let him go. Tearfully saying that he would lose his job if he was sued. He said the reason he posted that photo was because he thought Sean was attractive, and he wanted to show off. Then Sean kicked him out. Physically speaking, it should be dragged. The security guard dragged him away. But he didn't seem to give up, and continued to harass Sean until he saw me downstairs at Mr. Caldwell's company. I came to pick up my boyfriend from work. Keith Ford's eyes widened. You guys? I shook Sean's hand. I'm sorry, but it looks like you kicked a steel plate, you're going to lose this lawsuit. Sean didn't even have the interest to pay attention to him, only talking to me. Let's go, we have to take Tanner grocery shopping today. Okay. In the rearview mirror, I saw Keith Ford standing there, as if I had finally vented my anger. Sean leaned over and kissed me. Still looking? I was in a good mood, turned my head, and said, Sean Caldwell, I've decided to add more marks to your back tonight. He couldn't ask for more. Okay, don't regret it later. The car stopped at a red light. I leaned over and bit his earlobe. You're so perverted. He quickly turned his head and kissed my temple. It's enough as long as you like it, I don't care what I'm like. The green light came on and the car started again, heading to the next intersection. I propped my hand and looked at Sean's profile, suddenly laughing. What's wrong? I used to dislike the darkness. To me, it meant endless loneliness and fear. When my parents passed away when I was young, I stayed in a brick house, surviving on the help of neighbors and teachers. Until I worked part-time in college, I repaid the good people with money. After they confirmed that they had received it, I vaguely had a little expectation for life. But I still spent as much as I earned, never thinking about what the future should be like. But Sean's appearance made me start planning for the future and gradually made me look forward to the arrival of night. After all, before it gets completely dark, we'll be together, holding hands and walking side by side, walking a long way home.